Okay. This is going to be our last session before Pesach, because next week we'll be busy cleaning out the chametz. So that's why we're going to dedicate today's shir to the unsung hero of Pesach, the chametz. Right? It's trying to understand a little bit why it's not just asur to eat it. Right, it's not just that it's prohibited to eat it, but you're not even allowed to have it around. There's a positive commandment, aseh of tajbisu, to destroy chametz, and there's two negative commandments about even having it around. Lo yirah v'lo yimotze. It should not be seen is one negative commandment. It should not be right, and it should not even be in your possession. I understand, what is this thing about chametz? Not just don't eat it, don't even have it, should not even be a part of your life for 7 days. And this was discussed cursorily in the Derech Hashem, and he had an entry on this, and we're going to a little bit deeper based on what's written elsewhere. Going a little more of a penetrating analysis of what's so evil about chametz. And what matzah is by comparison. The interesting thing is, chametz and matzah are virtually the same word. All right, mem tzadi. They both have, mem tzadi, which, I'll drop you a hint. We'll develop this further along. Those are two very key words in the word mitzvah, right? Mem tzadi.
What about the hay and the ches?
Okay, so here, it's very easy to change a ches into a hay. And the Zohar points this out. Break it. Just make a break by the left leg, just make a break there.
The Americans, my name is Haya, and they say Haya all the time.
Now there's actually a lashon in Zohar like that the ches itbar, the ches was broken, and God made from chametz matzah. And we'll say. And we'll discuss this in greater depth. But that's Mamash Lashon Chazal. It talks about that the process was smashing the ches of chametz and then making it a hay, and now it spells matzah. Right, and then 6 weeks later, Pesach is for 1 week. 6 weeks later, right? So you add another 6. That's a vav. Then it's mitzvah. So it goes chametz to matzah to mitzvah. That's the whole for metamorphosis from Yitzias Mitzrayim until Matan Torah. Chametz, matzah, mitzvah. That's all in the Zohar. And we'll discuss that in just a second. Right? Just trying to make sense at the critical difference between chametz and matzah is a ches versus a hay. Right, and now of course there's also the issue of where you put the ches. Ches is the difference is ches is at the beginning of chametz, whereas the hay of matzah is at the end. Right, and we'll explain, the cosmic code that's going on, the change in cosmic code that there was. It's where the cosmic DNA changed. The programming used to be chametz, and then the programming shifted from chametz to matzah. And yeah, I'm okay. Just very tired. It's okay, I'm doing good. Anyway, to understand, thank you. All right. Chazal say, Rashi brings this in Chumash. Right, that on the pasuk Elu Toldos Hashemaim V'Aretz Bihi Boram. It's in second aliyah of it's in Sheni of Parshas Bereishis. Right, this is the story of heaven and earth when they were created. So I do believe Rashi brings a Chazal. But it's a Chazal whether Rashi brings it or not. All right, Behi Baram, Behei Braam. With Hey, God created the world. The higher world is created with Yud. The lower realms are created with Hey. The higher realms. The higher realms. That Chazal say on the pasuk that we say in davening, the pasuk, Bitchu ba'Hashem adeyad ki b'ka. In the name Yud Hey, Tzur Olamim. With the name Ka, Yud and Hey, Tzur Olamim. God fashioned worlds, plural. With the Yud, he fashioned the higher world, and with the Hey, he fashioned the lower world. All right, and the Gemara Menachos talks a great deal about how the letter Hey, so represents, life in this world. First of all, it's wide open on the bottom, easy to fall out, easy to drop out. But you have the opening on the side; they could get back in with doing tshuva. All right. And there's much to add, to this. Right? A way to draw a Hey is Dalid, make a Dalid, and then make a Yud. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's of very great significance, right? That Dalid 4 represents, the different directions you can go on a flat plane, on a flat surface, like the world, like ground on the ground. You could move forward, backwards, right, left. And we're taught in physics that any other direction will be a combination of those 4 prime directions. Now, of course, the challenge is, if you are off center, let's say you're north of center, so you'll go south. If you're south of center, you'll go north. If you're to the left of center, you'll go right. And if you're to the right of center, you'll go left. That's ideally what you should do. You should always want to be where you're meant to be. All right, but the challenge is that, just like you could walk towards, you could walk away. You could deviate from center to the north, deviate from the center to the south, deviate from the center to the west, deviate from the center to the east. Right? That's the challenge of this world. So now, the Yud, we said, is what God created the higher world with. Right? So now, everyone knows the famous Mishnah in Avos, Ha'olam hazeh domer leprosdor b'fnei olam haba. This is a hallway to Olam haba. The higher world, which was created with Yud, Olam hazeh should be the walkway towards. So the 4 directions of this world, the Dalid, should lead to the Yud, and hence Hey, Dalid and Yud. Right? We should use Olam hazeh and our ability to navigate ourselves. In this world, we're granted free will to choose our direction in life. We should be walking towards the Yud. That should be the center. The center of our lives should be HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The center of our lives should be to make it to Olam haba. Like the Ramchal writes in his very, very, very first chapter in Mesilas Yesharim, man was created for Olam haba. L'zeh yasim kol mabato umegamto. Put your goals. Total orientation you should always be Olam haba oriented. So it should be that if you find yourself too far to the right, go to the center. Too far left, go to the center. Too far up, go down to the center. Too far down, go up to the center. Right? But of course, the way it works in life is your ability to walk toward free will. The way your ability to walk towards is also your ability to walk away. But the challenge is that you'll walk towards and not walk away. Right? That's all represented in the hay. Right? And it's there's another drasha of Chazal on this on that Rashi brings right there on that pasuk. Behi baram b'schus Avraham. The world was created, heaven and earth was created in the honor, in the merit of Avram Avinu. Right? And Avram Avinu got that letter Hey added to his name. And these are not these. We're connecting the dots over here. This is all interconnected. Oh, it's no coincidence. Avram Avinu's mission starts with the words Lech Lecha, walk. Right? Avram Avinu tried to change the world, and even though he didn't succeed, called the Nefesh Asu Becharon, fried out one generation later, but his efforts were not in vain. Right, but and as we're going to explain, his efforts came to fruition with Yitzias Mitzrayim, and this is invoked in the Haggadah. Baruch Shomer Avtocha Yisrael, Shakadosh Baruch Hu Chishav es Haketz, Kamo she'amar la'Avram Avinu, Yadoa Teda Ki Ger Yazarcha Be'eretz Lev V'Avon Zavratam V'Acharei Chen Yitzu Baruch Hu Shkar. We say in the Haggadah, blessed be God, that God upheld his promise to Avram Avinu, and Avram Avinu already got the prophecy that we would go down to Mitzrayim and then be liberated. Really, that what Avram Avinu fought for, he didn't see it come to fruition in his own days. It came to fruition with Yitzias Mitzrayim. We're going to explain this. But what did Avram Avinu fight for? Chazal. And we invoked this Chazal many times. We've had it in the Derech Hashem. Chazal divide up world history into three eras. Alpayim Tohu, 2,000 years of void. Alpayim Torah, 2,000 years of Torah. And Alpayim Mashiach, 2,000 years. I mean, Mashiach was really supposed to have a 2,000-year empire. But because of our sins, how much time does he have left? Oh my God, right? Not much, right? But he was meant to have a 2,000-year empire, by design. 2,000 years of Mashiach, right? But what interests us, for today's discussion, I'm seriously jet lagged, right? For today's discussion, right, is that the shift from Tohu to Torah, which if you look on a timeline, that's Avram Avinu. He was born in the year 1948. And, when he starts, he grows up, he starts preaching, it's roughly at the year 2000 is when his ministry gets started. But like we said, this really only comes to fruition some 400 years later when we really get Torah from God by Yitzias Mitzrayim. But, it technically starts with Avram Avinu, fighting with the whole world.
What year was that in?
1948.
Was when he was born. Which means, that's why you understand that, he was...
94. I mean, that's...
400 years later is when the Torah was actually given. But, this was... The Avos, we've mentioned this a few times, were precursors. Masav, Simul Abonim, they were precursors. They laid down steps. They laid down a seed that only germinated, and came to fruition 400 years later. With Yitzias Mitzrayim and with Matan Torah. 400 years later, 400 years from the time of Yitzchak was born.
Huh?
400.
400. I said 400 years later.
How do you count? I mean, the guy that counts.
Right, yes.
CE, AD, how do you...
Now I'm counting from the years of Hebrew years,
Okay.
When I say 1948, that means 1948, like this year is 5777. All right, so 1948 is when he was born. He started preaching the year 2000. So that's when he started preaching, but he was only preaching. It didn't take root He tried, but he failed. He failed in his own day, but it wasn't for naught because it came to fruition 400 years later. So the process that he started, call it that, we should look at it like this. The Avos planted seeds. Those trees grew 400 years later with Yitzias Mitzrayim and Matan Torah. And that's the correct way to look at it. That's what it means, Masa Avos Siman Labanim. Everything they did was just like plant seeds, which came to, which germinated and blossomed, after Yitzias Mitzrayim, with Yitzias Mitzrayim and. All right, but so now it's all about hey, right? Behei Braham, B'schus Avraham, and Avraham Avinu got that letter added to his name. And like we said, what the letter Hey represents, aside from the challenges, but for all the challenges, there's the opportunity of tshuva. Right? It also represents walk towards the center, because that's what Olam Hazeh is about. It's the prosdor, latraklin, it's the hallway to the ballroom. Olam Haba is the ballroom, and is the walkway, the hallway. Avraham Avinu's mission starts with the word lech lecha, and he did a lot of walking. And that's what Jewish law is called halacha. All right, walking, because it's all about you use your mitzvahs to progress towards Olam Haba. We're walkers. Now this is all good and well when you have a hey. So now you could figure out yourself what it means. The significance that, as the Zohar says, that before Avraham Avinu tried, and even after he tried, it wasn't fully fulfilled, right? The hay was sealed, and the hay was a ches. This is Zohar. Right? Now, you understand what that means? Sealed box. As we're going to learn, the ches is the bread box. I'm going to explain. It's the bread box. We've got to break out of the bread box. Right? The totally sealed. So that means, first of all, if you fall out, you can't do tshuva. No way back in. We said that the break, up there between the leg and the hay, that's where you get back in with tshuva. No break. No way back in. But also sealed, that doesn't break up into these two components, the Dalet and the Yud, the four ways that you could walk, and Yud, which is the goal, we're supposed to walk towards Olam Haba. None of that applies. There's no map. It's a closed box. It's a closed box. Now, further, in understanding the significance of the letter Ches. Now, if you ever saw how it's written in a Torah scroll or in a tefillin, the way we draw a Ches, it's not ma'akev, but the correct way to draw a Ches is that it has a roof. It's not flat on top, but rather it's still sealed. It's still sealed, but it's a point, and has a triangular roof. It has two legs and a triangular roof. Right? All right. And then the Gemara says, also in Menachos, what does it represent? It represents that, that God is Chai Hu Berumo Shalom. God lives high up. Ches as in Chai. Chai Hu Berumo Shalom. God lives in the highest place in the world, as it were. So now you take a look. Avraham Avinu, met, the greatest tzaddik, perhaps, that preceded him. He met Melchizedek, who was Shem ben Noach, when he liberated stone, to liberate Lot. So, his encounter with Melchizedek, who was Shem ben Noach, V'hu Kohen Lekel Elyon. Melchizedek was a priest for the God on high. Again, alluding to Chayu Berumo Shel Olam. Now, Kel Elyon, it's true. I mean, God is way above us. But if that's the only revelation, we're in dire straits because we need God in the world also. We need God in the world also, and that's when Malki Tzedek realizes that Avraham Avinu outdid him, and that the mantle of leadership, spiritual leadership, should pass to Avraham Avinu. He says when he sees Avraham, Baruch Avram lekel elyon konei shamayim va'aretz. Blessed be Avram to kel elyon, who owns heaven and earth. That's what Avram Avinu revealed. God is here in this world also. And that's what it means. Whenever Avram Avinu went preaching, you'll see the Chumash says, Vayikra b'shem Hashem kel olam. He called out the name of God of the world. They worshipped kel elyon. The tzaddikim that walked the earth before Avram Avinu served the God on high. They did not serve God of the world. Well, let's just ask a simple question. Avram Avinu, put his life on the line and went preaching. Why didn't Noach do that? Why didn't Shem and Aver do that? Listen, they sat in their corner. You want to hear what we have to say, you're invited. If not, so long. So now, of course, as far as the difference of Avram's personality versus their personality, so the Rambam already says regarding the difference in personality, which but I want to talk about the cosmic difference. But as far as difference in personality, the Rambam writes in the Sefer it's because Aaron Avinu was consumed with love of Hashem that they didn't have. They were big philosophers, and perhaps they're very virtuous. Aaron Avinu had a burning love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and when you have a burning love, you want other people to love the one that you love. So you go without preaching. But that was the difference in Avraham Avinu's personality, right? From the personality of Shem Ve'aver. But there's also to understand their mentality and their perception of reality. Right? Shem Ve'aver looked at the world as a sealed box. It's hopeless. Right? You know how people are. You can't get through. There's no one to talk to. No getting through to anybody. Yeah, there's a God, and He's up there. He's not revealed down here. We're not going to waste our time trying to talk people into. We're not going to waste our time. The truth seekers will find us.
So then how did Avram send his kids there? I'm saying to learn there.
No, these guys they had chidushim and they had ideas in the midah called kel elyon, which is also true. They didn't have konei shamayim v'aretz.
So what you're saying is Avram is the first person who dealt with Kiruv.
Yeah, but it's also that one would say that he was, one would argue, the tzaddikim of his generation, like Shem Ve'aver, would say he was not a realist. Right, the guy does just not understand the world we live in. Right, and so there's no revelation of the divine here. There is a God, but He's Elyon. He's up there. And then also their way of serving God, the Radziner explains, they didn't do anything like Sudas mitzvah or things like that. They used to just fast and meditate because there is no God here. Revealed here, right? So you have to fast and meditate and have transcendental experiences. Where Avram Avinu clearly is at least made the statement vis-a-vis himself, even though he couldn't change the world, right, was he got bris milah. Here, you could do a mitzvah with your own flesh. I'm sure Avram Avinu fasted when necessary, but we know he was into eating, right? Achnasas orchim, and so Chazal had said, he ran such a kitchen, it's like 70 sheep a day, Avraham Avinu was fine. God's here, right? But they viewed God. God created the world, but God is not, revealed here. They had the ches perspective. This world is sealed off from God, and God is chayhu berumo shel olam, and that's everything that's represented by the ches. What's represented by the hay is that you could find God from within this world. Find God from within this world. Now,
How does Zohar reconcile the Medrash talking about Cain doing tshuva?
right. Yeah, well.
I don't understand the question.
Okay, so it's like, okay,
What's your question?
now Cain did tshuva, I mean, and he got a discount.
A kind of tshuva?
That's the thing that Adam's talking to him, right? They're
Yes.
walking kind of.
Yes.
I'm making this Medrash that they're walking. Said, "How'd you get here?" And he said, "I did tshuva." He said, "If I knew that, I would have done tshuva." Also.
All right, fine. So there's there is first of all, the desperate man tries everything, right? What he believes in and what he doesn't believe in. Number one, Cain tried everything. Number two is that there is also on a deeper level, there's a difference between you say sorry so you get a commuted sentence, and there's also putting things right. The tshuva of like really rewriting history and expunging the chet, that wasn't revealed yet. He just got a commuted sentence, but he didn't put his sin right. All right? The full power of tshuva has not been realized yet.
Wasn't Cain in a whole different generation with a whole different madrega?
Yeah.
I mean, he was not part of. I mean, he was Adam and Chava. I mean, that's a whole different generation.
No, but what Rebbe Chaffer was saying was that the hay, with Adam coming into the world, that the hay
That you can't have children without the hay, but still, I think we have to divide Gan Eden, and even though he wasn't in Gan Eden, but he was the generation of Gan Eden, so therefore.
It's entirely possible.
In this post Gan Eden.
Right.
Is that
Right.
possible?
Yeah, of course, is when the potential got released. Yeah, I mean, it's all possible. It's all. I'm speaking generally speaking.
Right.
Generally speaking, what Avraham Avinu tried to change, and everything he tried came to fruition with Yetzias Mitzrayim. Even though one would say that in his own lifetime he failed. I mean, because you see, the Nefesh Asu B'Charon didn't last. So his real victory was 400 years later. That what he planted germinated. And that's what we're trying to explain.
The one thing I always had a problem with, if Hashem told Abraham that his children will be enslaved in Egypt,
That's correct.
and of course Yaakov knew about it,
Yes.
why did he go down to Egypt? Even though there was a famine, he knew that they're going to be put into slavery.
Yes.
Why did he do it?
Yeah, he knew it, and that's why he warned the children. Yes, they knew. They knew what they were heading towards. They knew what they were heading towards. There's no two ways about it. But they were hoping that they could cushion the blow as best as possible. There is a chazal that Yaakov there b'shal shal barzo that really Yaakov should have gone down to Egypt in chains, and the slavery should have started immediately. And I can't remember what reason was that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, suspended that, and he had the best years of his life in his 17 years in Egypt. But you're right. He really said he really should have gone down in chains. The shibud, the subjugation should have started right then and there.
Started 100 years later, right?
Yeah, something like that. So the thing is that they knew it had to happen, but they were also hoping that they could cushion the blow and do some level of tshuva that to soften and sweeten it.
Listen, if they knew that it had happened, that means inevitably it's going to happen. It's almost like get the wheels in motion.
The whole Bechira and.
Okay, that's how they. That's how. Also, the Rambam does in Hilchos Tshuva. Why the Egyptians get punished? Well, they get punished because nothing was forcing any particular Egyptian to beat up on any particular Jew. The details were done by choice. The general state of affairs, but the details are up to free will, and that's why every Egyptian gets. Because nothing forced him to hit that particular Jew at that particular hour. God just provided the opportunity, but how the details unfolded were by individual choice. That's the Rambam's approach. And that's why they're fully culpable for what they've done. Okay, but what I get back to is this issue that so Shem and Aver, felt that the world as a whole is hopeless. And so Noach also didn't go out preaching. All he did was he built the teva in his driveway, blocked a few other driveways. Got some attention, and anyone who cared to ask, because there's going to be a flood. But he didn't go out preaching. So no one cared either. So get it out of my driveway. It's hopeless. It's what?
They didn't believe in hashgacha.
No, they believed in hashgacha. They believed that this world is hopelessly sealed off from any divine revelation. It's a closed box, like the Ches. And God is Baruch Hashem. He's up on high. He's Kel Elyon, and the believers served the God on high, not the God of the world. Avraham is Vayikra b'Shem Hashem Kel Olam. He called out in the name of God, the God of the world. He revealed Konei Shemayim V'Aretz. Not revealed. He preached it. It didn't get revealed until Yetzias Mitzrayim. Everything that Avraham Avinu preached that fell on deaf ears, God revealed through Avraham Avinu's children 400 years later, and that's what it says, L'man saper shvi b'chol haaretz. God says, Paro, I know you're broken already, but I'm going to harden your heart so I could beat up on you more. L'man saper shmi b'chol haaretz, that my name should be spoken about throughout the earth. L'man teda ki ein kashem elokei. You should know there's no another like God. Yetzias Mitzrayim with all the fanfare, and the power is willing to break already, but God says, no, you're not breaking yet. I'm still having fun, right? The pasuk says, by what? In order to publicize my name throughout the earth. So Avinu, he was saying, speaking, with no miracles to back him up. But God did not forget that, and the payback was by Yetzias Mitzrayim, and that's why Avinu already got the prophecy about Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's everything you're fighting for will come to fruition then. That's when the ches will break and become a hay. That's when we'll go from chametz to matzah. And we'll get to that deeper in a second.
I don't understand also it's a contradiction. They kept their names, they kept their clothes and minhagim and everything, and yet they were in 49 levels of tumah.
Yes.
And yet they separated from the Egyptians, and they kept themselves
That's
as a separate nation.
That's
so
correct.
why did they go down to the 49 levels of tumah?
I mean, it's pretty trying circumstances. I mean, it's the way it is with the Jews. As low as they go, they still keep themselves as a separate people. It's the way it is with them.
So why did they go down to such a low level? They didn't have that at that point.
Why? Because they didn't have they didn't have Jewish education. They didn't have a moment to breathe. When you're stressed out, the Yetzer Hara, that's when you need a lot of peace of mind to fight the Yetzer Hara. You cannot fight the Yetzer Hara when you're stressed.
In other words, you're saying that when you're stressed out and you don't have peace
Chazal
of
say
mind,
this. Yes.
you go down to a lower level.
Absolutely. It's black and white.
Think about us. It's the same thing.
No, it's black and white in Mesilas Yesharim, and Mesilas Yesharim brings Shibud Mitzrayim as a proof to this idea. You gotta take out time to think and get your bearing straight if you're going to beat the Yetzer Hara. Otherwise, you're just swept up with with what goes on in life. You just don't have your wits about you.
That's very interesting point.
And he brings a proof from Shibud Mitzrayim. That minute that Moshe Rabbeinu started, came and said, God says, let my people go. So Pharaoh says, Tichbad Avoda, right? We have to double the workload. because nirpim matem, you're obviously being lazy, and that's why you say l'cha nizbach Elokeinu, let's go sacrifice to Hashem. You've got time to think, I see. So that's when he stopped giving them straw to make the bricks. No, it shouldn't be time to think. And so Mr. Shalom quotes all this and says that's why a person has to take out time to make cheshbon nefesh and get his bearings straight. Otherwise, the Yetzer Hara, that's the only way to fight him.
And what about the fact that Paro does not really have free will to let the Jews leave?
Right, so we said that, so that's just the opposite. Hakadosh Baruch Hu says, first of all, he was no tzaddik. It's not like, he deserved, he had to pay for, he needed payback for a lot of bad stuff he did, but there was also a constructive purpose. It wasn't just about vengeance. It was about, like we said a minute ago, Hakadosh Baruch Hu says, Leman saper shmi b'chol, in order to publicize my name throughout the earth. Right? And now, Yetzias Mitzrayim, with all the fanfare and reveal miracles, is to reveal God within the world. And that's called to break the ches and make it into a hay. Zohar says.
So he didn't really have free will. Because
he didn't have free will, but it wasn't like he didn't deserve all 10 makos for what he had done previously before he lost his free will.
And another thing, the first commandment is Hartesi Eshem.
Right.
It's really not a commandment, it's a statement. And he didn't say the first commandment, I created the world.
That's right.
I am the creator of the world.
Oh, it's a
Therefore,
famous.
to me. I am the one who left you out of
Right. So the Kuzri says on that because just the opposite. What showed the whole world that there is a God was Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's why God references, I am God who took you out of Mitzrayim. All right, why not, that created heaven and earth? So the Kuzri's approach is because it has two meanings to it. First of all, I'm your God and no one else's, because you're the ones who I took out of Egypt. But also, this is what made it apparent that there's a God. This divine revelation, in a way that everyone could see, that was Yetzias Mitzrayim. Never happened before that in history. Never happened before that in history. If a prophet had prophecy, he couldn't prove it.
Right.
If a prophet had prophecy, he couldn't prove it. The first time you find in the Chumash revealed miracles is with Moshe Rabbeinu. Goes to Paro, and makes the stick in it. You go through all Sefer Bereshis, not a single revealed miracle. So I say, so the question is, it's not in the Chumash, which means that there's some element about it that must have been hidden. All right, it didn't make it into the Chumash. That means that the Goyim must have had some way of explaining it away. Like the Chartuv Paro attempted to explain away, what Moshe Rabbeinu was doing until they just couldn't anymore. So let's go a little bit deeper, and you'll see that the old world order is what we call chametz. The new world order is what we call matzah. Yeah. Right? That's that every shift between tohu, alpayim tohu, and alpayim Torah is the difference between ches and hay, which is the difference between chametz and matzah.
Right.
Okay. So now, when we say the world was shapeless and formless for 2,000 years, now what are we talking about? It's nonsense. We're not talking about chaos. These were big civilizations that there were. Were technologically advanced. Quite in consideration of how little time had passed since creation. These guys were in there. They had architecture, they had music, they had metalwork. I look at the Tower of Babel. And look at all the pyramids and. What do we mean? What do we mean when we say tohu? When Chazal called that 2,000 years of world history is all tohu. When there were buildings, there were markets, there was music, and there was Why do we call it tohu?
Because it was chaotic. We didn't have a structure.
No, there was a government. There was government.
We didn't have a moral structure. We didn't have mitzvahs. We didn't have the Torah. The Torah is the thing that takes us from Tohu to the Torah. That's about it.
Fine. Okay.
Well, they didn't believe in God. They didn't believe in a central God. They believed
Right.
that there were.
We never rule book.
I mean, the tohu was the fact that everything was mixed up. Like in Bereshit, right? Tohu v'vohu. The world is all
Right.
mixed up. They were mixed up.
Yeah, but you will agree that it wasn't. All right, fine. So it wasn't a physical mix-up. It was a moral mix-up.
Right.
But now, but like, let's try to see how you could see the difference in life. So it's obviously not, the chaos like the first day of creation, right? There is a certain semblance of order, right? But we have to see, the difference of, how the order shifted when, pre-Avram Vinu as opposed to post-Avram Vinu, which only comes to real fruition with Yetzias Mitzrayim. Right? So, like it was correctly pointed out, right, that the what was missing from the world was Shem Shamayim, right? God's name. And that's why the Ramban points this out. Not a coincidence that Sefer Shmos, which we just finished yesterday, Sefer Hagula, ends with building of the Mishkan. Right? Amakom asher yivchar Hashem l'shakein shmo sham, a place for God's name to dwell. Yetzias Mitzrayim was about Leman Saper Shmi B'chol Haaretz, and the fruition of that is the Mishkan, that you have a place where divine revelation will be there perpetually. And it's called where God's name is to be seen. Chol makom asher azkir es shmi, avoy lecha birachticha, refers to the Beis HaMikdash. Over there you're allowed to say the name, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Kohen Gadol is allowed to say it. So that's why the Mishkan is like the full fruition of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Yetzias Mitzrayim is to break God breaking in, and the Mishkan is like, really setting up a permanent revelation of the divine name within this world. Now, this divine name, we spoke about this also on Tisha B'Av, right? In Esther's house, it was right on Tisha B'Av afternoon, right? We're discussing the tragedy of Churban Abayis, that we don't have the name of God on earth anymore. That was the institution, the revelation of the name of God. What we have left of it on earth is the Torah, which is also the name of God, right? But we don't have the revelation of Beis HaMikdash, and it's called that we're missing centrality from our lives, because just like the Beis HaMikdash was in the center of the globe, center of Israel, which is in the center of the globe, it's also it gives centrality to our lives. Like even in the life of the individual, Chazal say, Kol ma'asecha, everything you do. You, l'shem shamayim, should be for the sake of heaven, for the name of heaven. It gives us centrality that everything, the way we eat, the way we sleep, everything we do is all for the sake of heaven. Right? It's everything should be pointing in that direction. That's the Yud, that from all the four directions we're supposed to be moving towards. Which, by the way, that's the idea of the fourness of the Haggadah, the four questions, the four sons. All those four should be, the fifth is point center. Should go from the four corners, move towards the center, and that's Shem Shamayim. And Churban Abayis is that we're missing that centrality, and that's why we're in Golus, where everything is dispersed and scattered, no centrality. Right? But you know what centrality does, aside from it creates unity, but also it enables the forces of nature, because they have a common center point, to exchange information. Now, what's wrong with me is not what's wrong with you, and what's wrong with you is not what's wrong with me. If we could exchange information, you could supplement me, and I could supplement you, right? And the world will start evolving into a perfect world, like it is destined to be, like everything we learned in Derech Hashem. If you don't have the centrality of God's name on earth, why should anything combine with anything else? There's no common center that could cause things to move towards tikkun. Right? And that's what Chazal allude to. Knessia she'ena l'shem shamayim, any ingathering, any convergence. But it's not l'shem, it's not for the name of heaven. Ain't so for his kind, won't last. It won't last. Shem Shamayim is the glue that holds things together, and it's the point center that could cause the forces of nature to exchange information in a positive way that could cause the world to evolve into a better world. No? But without Shem Shamayim, the world's not going nowhere. World's not going nowhere. Ein chodesh tachas hashemesh. Same old story. Same old story. So I said on Thursday night, for the name of my Rebbe, Moshe Shapiro, Ein chodesh tachas hashemesh, but tachas hayareach, under the moon, there is new. And that's why chodesh, milashon chadash. And the first mitzvah we got by Yitzhak is chodesh zelachem, bring newness to the world. But that's only with Shem Shamayim. You could bring this newness to the world. You could cause, the forces of nature to combine and supplement each other. And that process has started ever since Yitzias Mitzrayim. Ever since Yitzias Mitzrayim, life really got started. And we're moving towards the final Geula. The world changed, because with the name of heaven on earth, now the forces of nature could exchange information in a positive way, and only in a positive way, not in a negative way. They won't neutralize each other. And that's why we have another chazal. Machlokes, shi l'shem shamayim sofos kaim. A division and a divergence that l'shem shamayim will also endure. The fire and water won't cancel each other out. Right? We have a wonderful thing that the forces of nature only combine for the good, but they don't combine for the bad in a way that they will neutralize each other. And Shem Shamayim is the same factor in both. Knesia l'Shem Shamayim, a convergence l'Shem Shamayim sofos kaim, and machlokas, divergence l'Shem Shamayim sofos kaim, because you need both. You need everything to have its own individuality that shouldn't be neutralized, but you also need things to exchange information and supplement. And Shem Shamayim performs both functions. It performs keeping everything in its gvul, that nothing neutralizes the other, and yet that's machlokas Shem Shamayim. And Shem Shamayim also causes things to converge when necessary. As opposed to without Shem Shamayim, you have just the opposite. Things get together and neutralize each other and cancel each other out, or things don't ever add up in a positive way. So without Shem Shamayim, you have the opposite. You have only bad convergence and only bad division. And with Shem Shamayim, you have the opposite. You have good divergence and good convergence.
Could you give an example?
Wait a minute. What keeps fire and water from canceling each other out? Everything is in its there's like invisible boundaries, invisible travel bans, right? Keeping the intrusions, right? Right? There's borders, walls, right? Invisible walls between the cosmic forces that don't allow them to cancel each other out. That's Shem Shamayim. And there's also deep on a deeper level, things are actually exchanging information and supplementing each other. And Shem Shamayim is doing that also.
It's like a contradistinction rather than a contradiction.
Like
It's a contradistinction rather than a contradiction. It's not negating one another. Rather, they have different elements that you can uniquely point out, and they can both be at the same time.
If you're telling me that the world will be able to converge differently and diverge, then what you're saying is the whole setup of the world is going to be different. Like the gravity and all the thermodynamics and everything is going to change.
Yes, but in a good way, not in a bad way. It could change in a bad way where forces will cancel each other out, but it won't. It'll be a machlokas l'shem shamayim, and it'll also be a knesia l'shem shamayim.
And that will be after Mashiach comes?
It's happening already. It's been happening ever since Yitzias Mitzrayim. That's why, as it were, Hayom atem yotzim b'chodesh aviv, right? You're leaving now in the spring month. What? It was always spring, man, there are 4 seasons, right? No, because really, you have to look at it that the world wasn't blossoming before. Yeah, flowers grew, but it was like part of the same old story. Now the world is beginning to blossom because of Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's progressing. It's not, the world wasn't progressing, the world wasn't going anywhere. It was just going in circles. But the real, as it were, cosmic spring was with Yetzias Mitzrayim. And that's how, and changed the world in the sense that, and the Radzin writes this, before Yetzias Mitzrayim, the world was just going in circles. So of course you have cold months, hot months, cold months, hot months. Now it's called that every year the world blooms another level. It's not going in circles. It's progress, not circles. But it is only clear to the spiritually sensitive. So, but yet the world wasn't total chaos either. So I'll tell you, of course, there is a certain basic order to the world. And this the Ramchal writes in the Das Tfunis, says, there's a certain basic order, but it's not going to take the world anywhere. But at least it doesn't get worse, and that's called higher and lower. Zeh tachat zeh. Right? Whether it's the food chain in the jungle, right? Whether it's the corporate world, whether it's politics, things fall into place. But it's not very satisfying when you think about it. There are people on top and there are people below. There are people in first place, people in last place. And that's how everything falls into order. It's not total chaos. Because you have some guy on top of you who abuses you, but it's okay. Because you got someone beneath you that you could take it out on. Who has someone beneath him who he could take it out on. Yeah. And then there's a person at the bottom of the chain, right? But who cares about him? Right? And that's how, and that's the order of how life falls into place in Tohu. So Tohu is not absolute chaos, but it's all about mi barosh. Who's on top? Who was here first? What we call, in other words, simply time and space. So this was first, this is second, this is third, right? And there's also first place, second place, third place. Time and space. And that's the Seder of the world in Tohu. But in that world, nothing's evolving. Just there are certain things on top, certain things on bottom. People are privileged to be higher up on the food chain, or the corporate chain, or the political chain. The workplace. People on top, people below. But when it's stacked up like that, the world's not evolving because no one's cooperating. Just some people are, lord it over others, who lord it over others, who lord it over others. But that's better than absolute lawlessness. But that's not a world that's going to move anywhere. You're just waiting to assassinate, or whether physically or politically, the guy on top of you and take his place. So it's never going to. The world's never going to evolve into a better place to live in that way. Of people, the higher lording it over the lower. But at least it beats absolute chaos. So that's called that. There's a basic order of time and space. It's something amazing that the great philosopher Kant said, and Einstein was very inspired by this, right? And that is, time and space is all in the mind. That's how we make order out of all the stimulus that's hitting us. Right? So and that's what inspired Einstein to say that it's a relativity. It's not an absolute thing. It's after all, but Kant had already said it's all in the mind. Time and space. It's how the mind makes order out of things. We're bombarded with information. So we just, we make Seder out of it. Seder. And that word's going to come up again in a second. Seder. We make order out of it by just saying, this is here, this is there. This came first, this came second. This is on top, this is beneath it. And it's all in the mind. Is that order really true?
Sure, I think therefore I am.
That was Descartes.
Yeah, but isn't that, I know, but isn't that what you're saying? Everything is in the mind?
That's right. That's right. It's all in the mind. Time and space is all in the mind.
Suppose there's no mind.
That's right. What?
Suppose there is no mind. Suppose there is no mind, then there is no space. And so, I mean, nothing is.
It's all in the mind. I mean, the fact that it's like
Nothing is abstract. Nothing is outside of our own perception.
No. You are your perception. Alright.
no, look, All right. Well, I don't
You
want.
might be, you might have, your perception might be faulty, but that is how you see it.
I
Do
don't
you
know.
have anything that exists that's outside of your realm of perception?
No, but I might not exist, but then there is some other person that exists. In other words, there's got to be some objective knowledge that says there is a world.
Okay, fine. There is, and our only connection to it is the Torah. Is the Torah, which came from above. Didn't come from speculation of. It came from above. It's revealed truth. That's right. Any human truth comes from within our perception. This is given truth. Right. So yes, there is something bigger than our perception. We know it because we have a Torah, and the Torah is not something that we made up. It was revealed. But anything that you make up, obviously, is a product of your perception. Okay, time and space, which is all in the mind, like we said. Right? And the question is is there any truth to that order? Answer, no. It's a big lie. Big lie. Big lie. Aside from the fact that everyone knows the famous Gemara, that one of the Chachamim had a near-death experience, and when he came back, they asked him, what did you see? They said, El Yoinim Lamata. In this world, everyone who's on high, over there in the real world, all people are getting all the covet and have all that. In the Olam HaEmes, they're like, and then over here, the downtrodden tzaddikim, they're the ones who are, right? We know there's an Olam HaSheker. And that's the lashon that person came back said. El Yoinim Lamata. The ones who are on top, up there, are on the bottom. Right? But that's not just in terms of positions of prominence, who in our eyes is higher up on the food chain or in the corporate chain or in the political chain, but it's also as far as time. Everyone knows, Rashi works with this extensively. Ein mukdam u'mu'uchar b'Torah. Rashi doesn't want to set up the Torah in chronological order. That's not. So now I'll prove it to you from the very, 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 very first pasuk in the Torah. Very first word. Bereshis, right? In the beginning. And so Rashi says, over here we need Divrei Agada. It's for Yisrael Shnikru Reshis. For Klal Yisrael is called the first. First, we were the last nation to arise. Out of the 70 nations, Avraham Avinu was, as far as, from the ancient nations, we were the last to arise. And yet we're called the first. Well, in concept, in value, we're the first. As far as purpose of creation, we're the first. Right? That's also the pasuk that we call it. The whole world is b'schus Avraham. So he's 20 generations into the game. He's 20 generations into the game. And we say all those generations that came before him are because of him. Chronology is not truth. Even those who lived before him are for him. The Rambam writes in his Hakdama to the Pirush HaMishnayos on Zroim that what it means, all God has in his world is the 4 cubits of a man learning Torah. The 4 Amos, Da'at Amos Shel Halacha. So Rambam says, God tolerates so much excess. Right? All these people running the globe, not serving him, but they are producing resources. They make money. And he talks about one guy, who is building a mansion that he doesn't really need. Right? It's a total waste. He won't even live long enough to to wear out a log cabin. But whatever, he does it. And whatever, halfway through, they put up the shell, and the guy, drops dead. All this waste. And why? So the Ram says, because God tolerates it, because 300 years later, A tzaddik needs the shell to get out of the rain. Right? And that's what it means. God is looking, time. Who came first doesn't mean anything. Right? Sometimes a person could live 1,000 years in advance, and it's for the sake of someone who will come after him 1,000 years later. Who was here first doesn't mean anything. The position that you take up doesn't mean anything. But that's the secular way of life. Who was here first and who was in first place? Time and space. You know another way of expressing time and space? Chametz. What's chametz? Give it time, and the more time you give it, the more space it takes up. Chametz. Chametz is time and space. As opposed to matzah, it's made very, very, very fast, and it doesn't take up much space. How did Donald Trump say, I'm president of the United States, and you're not? Okay. I have a position. You don't have that position. Right? He told the fake news. Right, it's a verse to it. Okay, but it doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. All right? The real world order, the real game is not time and space. And now you can understand the lashon of Chazal. Rasha sha'asha'a misachekes lo. Sometimes the Rasha that the hour is just on the moment is on his side. The Rasha lives in time and space. Right? That's his world. And that's why his good luck is called Hasha'a misachekes lo. The moment is playing in his favor. But that's his whole world. If you get out of a world where time and space doesn't make a difference, it's all about values and idolatry.
Is that the difference between the Abba Banim, the Chacham and the Rasha? That Chacham is talking about Hilchos Pesach, which is out of time and space, and the Rasha is talking about...
That's an interesting idea. I never thought about it.
I mean, I'm just getting it from you.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and we have been stuck in chametz. We have been stuck. So chametz is like a whole different world order. So it's not just that it makes the Yetzer Hara stronger, because we know that the Yetzer Hara in Sarf is called Sa'or Shebeisa, the leaven in the dough. The dough is man, right? Because he was clumped up from earth. It's Chazal. That's why women bring challah, because she defiled the dough of the earth. That's a lashon of Chazal. That's why we give them the mitzvah of challah, because she defiled chalaso shel olam. She defiled the challah of the world. Man, Adam as challah that God took from earth, right? Clumped them together from the dough, which was the earth. All right. So aside from the how it makes you, it makes the Yetzer Hara stronger. And here's something which I can never get over. I heard this actually years ago. I went to a program on Pesach, and the lecturer, it's like the smartest thing he said. The other divrei Torah I didn't care for, but he made an interesting observation that still astounds me every time I think about it. Right? It's obvious that we believe that all the imperfections of the world are caused because the world's adulterated with evil. That's why we're mortal. But even on a more broader scale, that's why things rot and don't, because things aren't perfect, because everything's adulterated with evil. And lasid lavo, just like people won't die anymore, nothing will decay anymore either. The death force will be removed from the world. Right? So here's an interesting observation. Everyone, you have to try to remember to do this, to eat some matzah on Pesach Sheni. It's a worthwhile custom, we should mark Pesach Sheni, because it's a certain landmark in our progress that we make during the Omer. Right? If you have any matzah around the house, Pesach Sheni, right? It's perfectly edible. I'm not saying it says nice and crisp. I like to see the loaf of bread that can make it from Pesach to Pesach Sheni.
That's very interesting.
Isn't that amazing? It
amazing.
rots. Matzah could last a whole year and still be edible. I'm throwing out every Erev Pesach. I throw out last year's matzah. There's always some left over.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly edible. It's not yummy, but it's not, It's amazing. So amazing to think about. It's just the and whereas a regular piece of bread doesn't last even 3 days.
Very, very interesting. Yeah.
Just Mamish point out how matzah is like the pure essence, pure goodness, and that's why it lasts. And all that chametz, all that how it's puffy,
I like that.
that time and space, it's all evil. It's all evil, and that's why it rots so quickly. It's infested with evil. Right? But what the point I'm getting to is that chametz is a whole world order. It's the secular perspective on life, how to make the ones on top, the ones on bottom. The ones who got there first, the ones who got there second, time and space. And that's how you can understand why on Pesach it's not just about not eating chametz, it's about not having chametz in your house. You are out of chametz. We break out of the bread box. Breaking out of the bread box, I call it. Right? Right? Shouldn't be in chametz. That's why it's the Bal Yirah, Bal Yamatzeh. Got to destroy it. Yitzias Mitzrayim was breaking out of the boundaries that we call time and space, what we call chametz, breaking out of the secular perspective on life. That same perspective that held back Shem and Aver from feeling that it was possible to even change the world. That world order that Avraham Avinu refused to recognize. Right? But he didn't succeed in convincing anyone long term. And he knew that. He knew that. He knew he wouldn't succeed, and that's why he was so determined, God, I want a son, because I know I could depend on my son to carry on my legacy. He had plenty of Talmidim who were also called Bonim, but he knew that wouldn't last. Right? But by Yitzias Mitzrayim, we broke the boundaries, we broke out of chametz, and that's what the Zohar says, Ches itbar, the Ches broke and became a Hey. Finally, everything that Avraham Avinu preached happened. Right? And you could understand, now the Mem and Tzadi, it's written elsewhere in the Zohar. It's written Mem and Tzadi in Atbash. Atbash means you exchange Aleph for Tav, a Beis for a Shin, right? A Gimel for a Resh, a Dalet for a Kuf. Mem and Tzadi in Atbash are Yud and Hey.
Mem
and Tzadi are Yud and Hey. In Atbash. When we do a mitzvah, it's a code. It's Yud and Hey. And, it's when we do a mitzvah, we are secretively drawing energies from the world above into this world. So that's why the word mitzvah, the Mem and Tzadi is Yud and Hey in code, and the Vav and Hey, which is the programming for this world, is openly revealed, because that's what we see. When we do a mitzvah, we're injecting, like we learned in Dar Hashem, we're injecting energy into this world. Right? So now, chametz, the ches is blocking, ches comes first, blocking out the Mem and Tzadi, keeping it blocked out. Right? When you break the ches, and you make it a Hey, right? Make it the world that it's a world of opportunity to progress to Olam Haba. It's a prosder b'fei Olam Haba, right? Right? Once you have that perspective, so the Hey goes to its place at the end of the word. Say, because the Mem and Tzadi representing the Yud and Hey are above us. We want to bring it in. We want to follow what God wants. But first you have to become a Hey, and then when you become a Hey, you put yourself where you belong. The Hey naturally imports itself, moves itself to the end to become Matzah. And Matzah is this world ready to become influenced by the world above. Ready to be influenced by the world above. So the world above, ready to be influenced. Ready to be influenced. And that's what we do on Pesach, and that's called Leil HaSeder. We bring the real order into the world, the order of values, the order of ethics, the order of Ratzon Hashem, the order of Shem Shemayim, as opposed to the world order of Chametz You don't have chametz around anymore. There's no chametz in our reality. We're out of the bread box. Right? So now on Pesach, we just set up this world as being in a state of being ready to receive from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ready to receive. He's not blocked out anymore. We broke the box. He's not blocked out anymore. Ready to receive. Now, and like we learned in Derech Hashem, during the 7 days of Pesach, we're sterilizing the world. It's a sterile perimeter to set up the world in being just ready to receive from God, and there should be no distractions, no disruptions. There should be no chametz, which also represents there should be no Yetzer Hara around to distract us. But growing up is all about being able to face challenges. Right? The cotton, right? The miner, right? He's not responsible for his actions. Right? But when he becomes a gadol and he becomes a bar das, now he's responsible because you have das. So you should be able to. There's a Yetzer Hara, but you should be able to outwit him. You should be able to fight him back. Right? And that's where and at that point he becomes bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah. He's now responsible for his actions. He has mitzvahs. He's a bar mitzvah. The Jewish people went through the same evolution. We were born on Pesach, and that was matzah. Matzah. And and during the 7 days of Pesach, which is connected our infancy, right? We're not supposed to have any chametz around. You can't expect a child to do anything right, choose anything, right? But then during so that's the first week, only matzah, and there's no chametz anywhere. But then there's, as you're machanach a child, right? So you let him, he does mitzvahs mishum chinuch, and he starts facing small challenges. He's in training, training, until he's finally fully bar mitzvah. And then you say, okay, now you're on your own, and now face life. Right, this is back then. People were grown up at the age of 13. Right? Now it's like 63 or something like that. But and then you have these mini challenges along the way. And then there's, okay, now you could face the world with all the evil and conquer it for the Kedusha. Right, and that's the days of the Omer. The following 6 weeks is we grow up. Right? And on Shavuos, when we actually get the Torah, that's our bar mitzvah. That's when we become mechuyev in mitzvahs. It happened literally, in the most literal sense. Matan Torah. You are now, God gave us mitzvahs. Right? We became mechuyev in mitzvahs. And it's called, at that time, we got our das. We got das Torah. We had, got the Torah. We're now a bar das. We have das Torah. So what do we do on Shavuos? Shtei alechem, which are chametz. Now we could face chametz, and we could even incorporate chametz into our avodas Hashem. We can conquer it. We're big enough.
That cheesecake, right?
That's the cheesecake. That's all that cheesecake. Right? Now you know how to deal with it.
Calories.
Right. No, and that's what the Zohar says, that after another additional 6 weeks of the Omer, Yad Avav to Matzah becomes mitzvah. We're big enough to face the chametz. Meaning, no, it's like, you understand, it's much bigger. During the days of the Omer, the 6 weeks, chametz is mutter, but it ain't no mitzvah, right? On Shavuos, there's a korban that's chametz. Shtei alechem. Because, you know what? Like we said in other forums, that thing that's evil, we're going to conquer it. And we're going to convert it into Tov Ma'od. We spoke about this not too long ago. We're going to make the Tov into Tov Ma'od. We're going to conquer the evil and convert it into good. And we're in a position to do that after Yetzias Mitzrayim, first to get life straight. Then we have the Omer period when we're growing up. Shavuos, we reach maturity, we become bar mitzvah after those additional 6 weeks. And now we could conquer the chametz. Now bring the chametz on, bring it on, and we're going to make a korban out of it.
What korban are you talking about?
Shtei halechem. There's a special 2 breads brought on the Shavuos. That's one of the reasons eat milchiks and fleishiks to differentiate that because one bread will be milchik, the other one will be fleishik. For those who do the double menu thing, it accentuates the difference between the 2 loaves of bread. The vav, 6 weeks of the Omer after the first week, which is Pesach.
I'm a little bit ignorant about that. The shtei halechem, do we eat
It was a
it?
special korban. No, the Kohanim eat it, I do
The
believe.
Kohanim eat it.
I do believe. Not that knowledgeable about it either, because Bab and Osenu, we haven't done it since Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. But it's Solas Tiena Chometz Te'afena. They're big chometz. Because now we're big enough to conquer it and incorporate it and make it into the good. First week, sterile space. After that, it's mutter, but we certainly wouldn't say that we could use it for our avodas Hashem yet. You have to be a big bardas for that. But by Shavuos, already, it's the one time a year as far as I think so. No, it's a korban total also, but it comes from the chametz. We can now incorporate it. But here's what we want to explain. It's the difference between chametz and matzah is the difference between the world order of Tov versus the world order of Tikkun. But it's the world order of Tikkun when it's still in its infancy. It becomes more sophisticated with limud Torah, and it goes from matzah to mitzvah. And when it goes to matzah to mitzvah, that's why chametz is mutter. We could face off with it, like Chazal say, "Barasi yetzer hara, barasi lo Torah tavlit." I created yetzer hara, but I gave you an antidote also. It's called the Torah. But during Pesach, we don't have the Torah yet. Right? So that's why you have only matzah and no chametz. Because you don't have the Torah tavlin, you don't have the antidote. So it's sterile space. Just getting life straight yet. Breaking out of the bread box, getting life straight. But it's just life itself in sterile space, sterile perimeter. Comes Shavuos, we have the Torah tavlin, so now we can really face off with the Yetzer Hara. And that's why on Shavuos we have chametz. Even in our avodas Hashem, because we have the Torah tavlin that gives us the das to conquer it and incorporate it and turn it into good. All right, these were the reflections I wanted to share with you. I want to have a chag kosher v'sameach, and we'll figure out. You'll have to talk amongst yourselves how we will proceed after Pesach.